Guys, how's it going? Welcome back to SoCal Watch Reviews, episode 17. I am Miguel. On the line, of course, we got P, and we got our friend Fred from Shalu, so he just can't stay away from us. How's it going, guys?
Good. How's everyone doing?
It's going pretty great, guy. We're doing it big.
Big in 2028. These invitations are getting out of control. I don't even know who that was. I have no idea what's going on here, guys.
Oh man,
we had too much fun in the last episode. Do you guys agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. So wrist check. What is everybody wearing? What do you guys got?
You can go for it.
I am wearing the Steinhardt Ocean One GMT on a nice leather strap, and it's been a while since I wore this watch actually, but
Nice.
It still looks pretty cool. Like I enjoy sort of un-Rolex-fying it, so I got the leather strap on it. But it's a pretty cool watch. The only thing that annoys me though is I realized the other day it doesn't click in both directions, which is really, really annoying sometimes because if you accidentally knock the bezel, it's like you have to go all the way around again. Which, like, for a dive bezel makes sense, but for this, it's like should be able to go both ways. But oh well, I guess I'm stuck with a one-way bezel.
So, question, Steinhardt. I know they're like homage watches, but to the higher kind of end of the market. If you don't mind me asking, how much did you end up picking this one up for?
This was I bought it directly from their site, so it was in euros. It was like 400 or 500 euros, if I remember right.
So that's like $600 or something, like $700. That's a lot of money, man. What kind of movement does it have in it?
It has a ETA 2893, which is obviously a modification of the ETA 2892. So date has about 48 hours power reserve, if I'm not mistaken.
Hand winding.
Not cost certified, but it still keeps great time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time I checked, it was doing about plus 6 seconds a day, which for one that's not like doesn't boast about being like super accurate or anything. It's pretty good. But yeah, it's a nice watch. It's nice and well built. Like it doesn't feel rickety or anything like that. Like I bought it as sort of a semi beater to like give some break time to my Omega, but also like just I didn't want to scratch it up. Dang. But also like it's a pretty cool watch. Like I know you can get other homages that are much cheaper, but I wanted to still get something that was good quality and was solid and would last a while. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Wow. AP. So this guy. So check it out. So Fred gets a beater that costs $600-700. What the heck? Wow. All right.
Yes.
That's pretty crazy. Well, ETA movement. Let's just talk a little bit about that. So ETA has been, and we could make a whole episode about this, but I know ETA's been going through some things, right? I mean, the Swatch group got reprimanded, I guess is what you can say. I don't know if it was because the Swiss group or Swiss law, whatever, felt that ETA was almost like a monopoly. And a lot of these smaller watch makers or watch movement makers didn't really have a chance. So now there's this whole thing about ETA, right? Fred, P, have you guys heard about that?
No. Yeah, they pretty much like, so apparently coming up to 2020, there was apparently an agreement where they were going to be allowed to have full control of whoever they want to sell to after having like 5-6 years of like slowly ramping down how much they would sell to other people. Mm-hmm. And now the governing body, I forget what the acronym is for Swiss watchmaking, has pretty much did a 180 turn and said instead of them being able to pick and choose who they sell to, now they just can't sell to anyone.
So they could do within the Swatch group, but not outside of the watch group,
okay. but not outside. So that creates a whole bunch of problems because obviously there are still a ton of manufacturers that depend on ETA to
of course, yeah.
To like provide them with movements, but also like the fact that it's still really ambiguous. I think it's only like they've imposed this ban for like a year and then they'll review it. But obviously, like with some of these orders, you have to make them a few years in advance. There's certain quotas and stuff like that they previously had to do, but now they can't even honor those. So it's a pretty fucked up situation for Swatch Group in that respect.
Wow. Yeah, they'll be okay though. They got Omega, they got all these heavy hitting, and this is good news for Salida. So,
Very good news for Solito.
and of course, I don't even want to say Seiko because we're talking different things, NH35s and all the other movements.
But bad news for a lot of those smaller manufacturers that still depended on ETA.
So what are they saying? They basically cornered the market with ETA movements.
Yeah, like they said they had too much power, and then like they were supposed to slowly phase out so they could let other companies sort of come in and sort of, I guess, restore a bit of balance. But now they've pretty much just screwed them over. I mean, not completely, because at the end of the day, I think only 500,000 movements or so they actually sell outside of the Swatch Group out of like 6 million that they make per year.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But still, that's business they thought they were going to get that they weren't going to get. And I think the bigger losers are the smaller watch manufacturers that thought they were getting at movements now need to go to Salida or to a Seiko or to another watch manufacturer. Another caliber manufacturer.
But they're still able to do it within their own group, just not outside. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just outside.
Okay.
That's not like Eda's going away, but it's within the group. So now, do you know?
Yeah, like Hamilton, Tissot, all those brands, Longines, the movements that are done for Omega, all those brands won't suffer because they're all part of this watch group. But it's just the external ones that'll have some trouble.
So, what you're saying is they can't sell any movements whatsoever outside of the Swatch Group, or is it just like a limited number? Or
from what I understand, it's they can't sell any.
They can't sell it. That's kind of messed up, though. I mean, that's so. How do they? I mean, I get the fact that they're trying to control it, and maybe they were a monopoly, but you can't just cut them off. I mean, that's kind of messed up. But whatever. Right. I mean,
so what watch brands are affected by this outside of the Swatch Group?
In terms of big brands, things like Breitling, Tag Heuer, Mind, IWC. I mean, a lot of these, like since ETA started reducing their supply, a lot of them have started moving towards in-house movements. Like Tag Heuer recently, they nixed the Caliber 11, which was a ETA 2892 with a Dupont de Praz module on top, or sometimes they say it was a SW300 Salida, but they've killed that and put the Heuer 02 in-house movement in that. Breitling obviously has the B01 and a lot of other derivative calibers based on that. So like a lot of companies have started to already sort of deal with that either by switching to Salida or going by in-house. But still, like if you think a lot of those smaller no-name ones, like Steinhardt, for example, they had to switch to Salida. Like they did that before this changeover just now in 2020, but a lot of brands, smaller brands, have had to sort of switch away from that. And I just imagine all those ones who hadn't already started moving away are probably sitting, looking at a 2020 where they don't have any movements coming in.
Well, I know Tudor was one too, right? At a movement at one point, and then they went in-house and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah. Tudor's another one who's been moving in-house. It'd be interesting for them, especially because I don't think they've done any Salidas, and I don't know how Rolex is going to play that one out.
Yeah.
So,
no, for sure. Well,
but then again, they could find movements from other things. I mean, they do they source their chronograph from Breitling, for example. I can imagine there must be another sort of high-ish end movement manufacturer that they'll probably sort their movements from. That's actually a good point. I'd be curious to see what Tudor does about it.
But can you imagine how much money it costs to manufacture a movement? I mean, you got to bring special tools, special people. I mean, it's a lot of money. So these big brands, like you said, Breitling, Tudor, whatever, I don't think they'll be so affected. I mean, yeah, they got to invest the money, but a lot of these smaller guys, you just have to look at something else. There's no possible way they could make their own movement. Like Christopher Ward, I mean, that was some micro brand right there that gets my kudos for doing other movements, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what, we're just gonna make our own movement, and they did. I mean, deep pockets for sure, and commendable, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I mean, that's a whole different discussion. How do we feel about in-house movements versus kind of off-the-shelf movements? You know what I mean? So I personally like the fact that a company is able to do their own movement, because if I'm buying something, it's like buying a car, right? I want to make sure that Honda made all the parts, not, oh, well, the motor is from this other place and this are from this other place. So, but I'm buying a Honda. No, you're not. You're buying a Franken watch, basically, or a Franken car. Really, let's call it what it is, because that's kind of the way that I look at it. But whatever.
But on the flip side, you look at something like a Pagani, which has an AMG engine. Italians make amazing engines, but they're not exactly known for their reliability.
Correct.
So like
Right.
that's a case where it's like you kind of be happy that they outsourced the difficult, like not the difficult part, but that particular part. You'd be happy that they outsourced that to AMG, who really know their shit. You know?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. So, P, what are you wearing today?
I am wearing a Timex Marlin vintage from 1973.
Super cool. Automatic,
Yes, sir.
sports. What are we talking?
It's manual wine.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
super cool. 34?
Yeah.
34 mil?
35.
That's cool. Have it on a leather strap, NATO.
Yeah, leather, black leather strap, bro.
That's cool. I know you're a
Yes,
big Timex guy, so hopefully Timex won't disappoint this year, and they'll come up with some cool stuff in 2020. So.
Oh yeah. I'm waiting on it.
Nice. Well, today, in honor of our topic, which is the Omega Speedmaster Caliber 321, I am wearing my vintage 1990s Omega Speedmaster automatic. So this thing is super cool. Panda dial, patina on the indices right there. So super cool. Obviously, the lume is gone on this thing, but it has that very crema. Sorry, I'm speaking Spanish now on this podcast. Creamy patina on this on the indices, and I really love this watch. I obviously bought it because I couldn't afford the Speedmaster Professional. This was a lot less, but I don't regret it. I'm actually really happy with this thing, and I just recently changed the strap on it to a strap from cheapestnatostraps.com. Quality's not great, but it's very affordable, so it's cool. It's a cheap way to change the look on a watch. You change the strap. We talked about it before, so that's what I'm wearing today. And this does have a Vouger movement in it. Super loud, that rotor. I mean, you could hear from a mile away, but it's cool nonetheless. I really like it, and this was a Japan only special edition. It ran for a few years, so this is super cool. Makes it extra special because I am a huge JDM lover. Have been for many years, especially with my cars. I was a big Honda CRX guy, and I wanted my car to look like the Japanese car. So I sourced a lot of JDM parts, cost a lot of money, and it was the original hobby for me. And then I kind of turned into this. So when I saw this watch and realized what it was, and it was Japan only, it just, I was like, I have to have it. You know what I mean? So bought it from a Japanese store. Came in the original box, warranty card, everything original. Well, it was polished, but done nicely. They didn't mess with the look. The lugs are still strong and everything. But for the price that I picked it up and where I got it from, it's even extra special for me. So this is not leaving my collection. But yeah, Omega is one of those brands that are near and dear to my heart. And we're going to talk about the Omega Speedmaster, Caliber 321. How do you guys feel about that?
I hate it.
Oh, really? Wow.
No, I'm playing. I'm bullshitting. When I first got the, I think you sent me the video, Miguel, and I looked at it and I said, "Oh, holy shit!"
Yep.
Like this watch looks freaking great. It's like the Ed White edition, first man in America to do the spacewalk. You know what I mean? Like it's just so much history behind it. The only reserve that I really have about it is that
the price.
Like that's one, but the one other one is unlike the Speedmaster Professional, it doesn't have like the crown guard on it.
What? That's actually my favorite part about this watch, but we'll talk about it. Okay.
That's like my only reserve about it, and the price at 14.1. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. 13 something Swiss francs, so almost 15. Yeah, almost 15.
And I'm just kind of like Omega. Are they trying to position themselves as like for real? Hands down, I think this is gonna be watch of the year, no doubt. That's just to me. You know what I'm saying?
That early. 12 days.
Yeah,
that's gonna be watch of the year.
12. Yes. I like it that much, but I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see how the year progresses. It's definitely gonna be a runner-up. But 14.1, that's a lot of money. And are they trying to position themselves as like maybe like Rolex? Like I know it's not a limited edition watch, but I think it's gonna sell out pretty quick.
It's definitely a limited production run. They're only doing about 1,000 a year because they're all hand assembled. And if if I read this correctly, the movement is being assembled and regulated by one person, one artisan.
Right.
So that's super cool.
Right. And
But
like with like that being said, it's kind of like, once the 1,000 is gone, you know what I'm saying? Can you imagine the price hike this thing is gonna get?
oh yeah, the
You
waiting
know what I'm
list on
saying?
this stuff. I mean, yeah, this
And,
is a direct competitor of the Daytona in my
right.
humble opinion. So
Yeah. And then what was the one they made before with that was platinum or gold or something like that?
That one, yeah,
Sixty
the
thousand
platinum one
dollars.
had the 321. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was 6 grand.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think for that price, people who bought that watch will buy this watch, and it's definitely going to sell out. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting to see like what the price hike is going to be. But I think as far as aesthetics, I think it looks awesome.
I think it
Awesome.
looks cool. I just don't get why. I don't really get the point in doing the Ed White part because it's not like it's a specific amount of years, like, like 50, 55, 60, like a nice round number, like to commemorate when Ed White did his spacewalk. And also, it's like they just came off of, the anniversary for
the 50
the
years.
Moonwatch.
Yeah.
They
Right.
released 3 special edition Speedmasters last year, including that platinum one, which I think is great. It's like, Omega, learn to pump the brakes. I feel like they put out so many special editions, especially of the
Sure.
Seamaster. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how special
Yeah.
is it if they're all special editions,
They're not.
I feel
Yeah.
like they should have waited a little bit. When they released the platinum one, everyone's saying, when's there going to be a steel one? When's there going to be a steel one? And I feel if this is a move to, like, try and make a waitlist watch, make something, hyped like Daytona, they should have waited for that hype to build up a little bit more, in my opinion. I
Right.
feel like just the timing doesn't make sense. It looks fucking cool, no doubt about it. And, like, in my last few videos, I've said that I love the fact that, like, with a Speedmaster, for example, you can get something that looks as good as a vintage watch and is true to it, but it's still like, 5-year warranty, still buy it brand new, ceramic bezel on this one. It's still got a lot of the modern refinements and build quality, but a lot of the vintage charm. But with this, I don't know. I think the timing is a bit off. And also, I think, like, honestly, at 14.1, I would rather just buy an original, like, mint condition 60s one. Like, I'm looking on
Right.
Chrono right now. You can get one from the time period that this is paying homage to for 6 grand, 7, 8 grand, thereabouts, with the 321 movement
Right.
in it, but the original.
That was a
Right. But even
sequel.
them prices went up though, didn't they?
They did. They
Yeah.
did, but they're still below where it's at now.
Right.
Now, if this one ends up becoming a hype piece, maybe that'll change a little bit what the vintage ones are like. But yeah, I don't know. Like,
Right.
it looks great. I love the concept of it. I just question the timing and maybe the motivation behind it.
Right. And
Well, I
then
mean,
it's like it's 3 times more than a Speedmaster Professional. Three
Yeah.
times more. You know what I mean? It's like
I mean that
shit.
it's all the movement. The movement. They're just
Yeah.
hyping that up and whatever. But to me, I mean, in my opinion, I think the release date they wanted to do something epic, which was this first Speedy Tuesday of the year. So that's why they timed it correctly, and they said, you know what, we're going to come correct and we're going to shut it down. Speedy Tuesday, we're putting this thing out. So that's kind of what they did. Now, as far as why they did the Ed White, I think it was more the aesthetic because as an Omega collector, Omega Speedmaster collector out there, right? The holy grail is a 321. That CK, right? I think that's the reference for those specific watches. So they had to kind of piggyback off an astronaut. Of course, they have to, and that straight lug, no crown guards. That's kind of that vintage aesthetic. That's why they kind of, I guess, call it an Ed White or whatever, right? But to me, like, yes, it is expensive. I don't have the money to buy this or a vintage one, but if I did, I definitely would go with this. And the reason why this versus the other one, number one, Sapphire. I love the Sapphire because I'm not scared of scratching it, right? And not only that, it has a display case back. You could see that beautiful 3-2-1
That's nice.
movement. Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
That's true.
And
It's a
then,
good looking movement to look at.
then the original movement was copper finish, as this one has Sedna gold, which is more chemically stable. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're getting a brand new movement. You're getting a brand new everything, and not only that, you're getting a coveted watch. That this is going to be, in my opinion, this is going to be the next Batman. Like what it was for Rolex.
think?
The next, yes, I think so. I think with 1,000 only, they're coming out with 1,000 a year. This is going to be coveted. This is going to be the watch to get for collectors. and what Omega wants to do and has been wanting to do for a long time. And I think it's going to take a lot longer than this. They want to be on top of Rolex or to the Rolex level, because for many years, as you guys know, they're older than Rolex, and they were the watch of watches. And then Rolex kind of slowly crept up and then surpassed them. So I think Omega is doing the right thing, and they're coming in strong and say, you know what, screw you guys. We're going to borrow a little bit from our heritage, and we're going to make it even better, right? So that's kind of what it is. And then for vintage collectors, I mean, little subtleties on the actual watch, like the dot over the 90 on the tachometer as opposed to the side, is little things that I didn't even know, but I was reading about it. I'm like, are you serious? People look at those things? They do. There's a little dot, you know, the tachometer has like the numbers. Well, there's a little dot that is like literally on top of the 90. Well, a lot of the Speedmasters apparently have it on the side, and because if it has it on the top, it's more coveted. I didn't know that. But Omega does, and they read things. You know, also another big thing, this is the case on this is 39 millimeters, 39.7 and 19 millimeter lugs, as opposed to what, 40, 42 for the professional 20 millimeter lugs. So it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more original. I think this thing is nice.
It's nice. It's beautiful, no doubt about it. I just disagree. I don't think it's gonna have that Rolexy effect. Like, as much I love Omega, you know, what got me into this hobby was my Seamaster, and I love the Speedmaster as well. But I just think, for one thing, we gotta remember the Daytona. That is a regular production model. You know, it's not a limited edition. It's not a special edition. It's just the Daytona, and it just commands what it does. I think going down the special edition route, if that's why they're doing it, I'm not sure that's going to work out, because let's face it, again, like I said, Omega releases a special edition or a limited edition Speedmaster every 5 minutes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going to make this more special than the next one that comes out and the next one after? You know, they didn't even let the sheets go down on the Platinum one before releasing this one.
But wasn't the Platinum one a limited edition, though? It wasn't just a regular production run.
No, it was the same. It had the same limitation due to how many movements they make, but it's not a numbered edition.
But the price definitely makes a difference, because we're talking 60,000 versus
versus 14.
But then a lot of people like fiending for like a steel watch, a steel Omega. Wasn't that like one of the big things?
They were, but the thing is, you look at Rolex. How long has Rolex been holding down the supply and not fucking with their production numbers?
Right.
It's because they know they need to keep that demand there. Whereas I feel like Omega got all excited. Like, oh shit, there's some hype. Let's just go sell something quick. Go, you know, like they couldn't metaphorically keep it in their pants.
So
they couldn't hold out a little bit.
There you go with the sexual reference again. I'm just kidding. So, do you think, on honesty, do you think that if Omega this year kind of pumps the brakes a little bit on the limited editions, that would help this watch? If they're like, you know what, for a few months, let's not do any limited editions, and let's just push this 3-1, and let's pretend like we're Rolex and just not do any new stuff. And if we do come up with something new, let's do little subtle differences. Do you think, Fred? Do you think, P, that's gonna put him to the level where Rolex is at? Do you think that's the downfall?
If downfall they did that for this year? No, they need to do that for a while. Like, Rolex has been practicing, like, just now in the last few weeks when they had this price hike at Rolex, people are saying, oh, you know, maybe they're going to open up the production a little bit because they raised the prices. But how long has you know, this whole like craze for steel Rolexes, and specifically the Daytona? The Daytona has been a weightless model since the 1988 one, you know, which was a complete about turn for the Daytona. But like, they've been practicing this for a long time. They've been holding themselves back for a long time to make sure they keep that demand there. I don't think Omega doing that for 1 year would even make the difference. Like, that's a long-term commitment and a long-term strategy that I don't think Omega's business model would be able to withstand.
Well, that's
producer, you know.
It's their fault, though, because look, think about it. They pump out so many watches and so many limited editions that they kind of bleed into the gray market. Now you have all these gray market dealers selling them. So Rolex doesn't have that issue because they know their watches are coveted. So now we're talking about supply and demand, right? So I mean, the supply is just overflowing with Omega, and the supply with Rolex is not. So Yes, I agree with you guys. I don't think this year is going to make a
Mm-hmm.
difference, but it will be a step in the right direction because a lot of us Omega owners, all three of us, would love to see that. What do you guys love to see Omega just kind of pump the brakes and then these watches kind of become, or increase in value and then not be so much in the market and then people clowning on them because they have limited releases every 5 minutes. Like, I
Oh
hate
yeah,
that,
I would. I would love to see that because I personally think like as far as heritage go, like they're more than any company. Omega, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
has more heritage than like Rolex. You know what I mean? And hell, it was the first watch on the moon. You know what I mean? So you know, I mean, I think they deserve it, but they need to, like Fred said, pump the brakes, think about it. But
Yeah,
I
like
think this particular watch is a step in the right direction if they do it right.
yeah, like I still think, like I said, I think it's an amazing looking watch. I love the concept of it. I like the idea of having something that looks like a vintage watch but has all like the modern, security of it's not been used, that hasn't had, 50 years of
right.
testing its tiny water resistance, all that.
Yeah.
But I personally I don't really care about seeing Omega get to that point where it's been resold for more than retail because like A, I don't plan on selling that watch, and B, if you look at how many people buy Rolexes for hype versus when you see someone with an Omega, it's almost like a sign right away, like, oh, there's a bigger chance that they're, into
A watch
watches and more
collector,
interested in
right?
Right.
watches.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
I don't want
agree.
Omega to become that. Like, it doesn't make sense. And also, I think this whole thing of like, premiums for watches that, let's face it, they're just like steel watches. I think that the whole thing is a bit crazy. I mean, it's the market we're in, but like, I think it's something where I just wish it would tone down because you think how many people get priced out of Rolex just because of hype. Even if they're full on watch people who want a Submariner for its history, they can't get it. The only upside of that, of course, is that it then pushes them into a lot of these other different brands, which I think is cool. It does sort of keep the rest of the market afloat because that's sort of kind of how the ecosystem is. But yeah, like I think at the end of the day, like Omega shouldn't try and be Rolex either. They've done a lot of cool stuff on a technical level. I think Omega's by like pretty much across most of their range are more technically advanced than Rolex. I like what they're doing with the Metas certifications to sort of one up the superlative chronometers, stuff with silicon, stuff with titanium. I like when they do stuff that isn't what Rolex is doing
Right.
because it helps differentiate them. And Omega has its own history to be proud of. I don't think they need to try and imitate Rolex to sort of make a few more sales.
I agree 100%, but
Absolutely.
I gotta disagree with you on one thing. So yes, a lot of people that are not even watch people buy Rolex because of the name. They don't know anything about watches. They could care less about watches, but they say I bought a Rolex, I made it, right? That's not going to change. I don't think any company is going to come even close to that. Maybe Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, because all the celebrities, rappers talking about it. But price point, it's a completely different price point there. But this is what pisses me off about Omega. From personal experience, every time that I wear my Omega and I go to like family functions or with friends, they don't even know what the hell I have on my wrist, and it's kind of disappointing because it's like, man, you don't know Omega? No, I kind of what is it? I kind of heard about. Oh, you heard of Rolex? Oh yeah, Rolex. It's expensive. Yeah. Well, why is it expensive? I don't know. It's just expensive. So I want to get to the point where maybe mass market doesn't necessarily buy the Omegas, but they recognize what Omega is. Like Omega's on. It's not a cheap watch, you know. And if you look at a lot of these charts from different people, their pyramids and whatever that they put, they never put Rolex and Omega in the same category. Rolex is always on top, and to me, it's not. It's like, what the hell? Why is it on top? Omega has such rich history, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just, to me, it's just crazy. Like, I just want them to be on the same level. I agree with you, Fred. I don't want everybody rocking an Omega, and I agree with you that when you see somebody rocking an Omega, they're most likely a watch person. Like, you know that, but I hardly see Omegas in the wild. I've seen a lot of Rolexes, but I
I
hardly.
love that.
You
for the
love
same
that?
reason that
Okay, okay.
for the same reason that like half the reason why I wouldn't want a Rolex is because I've seen so many of them. Like despite all the respect I have for the brand, for the history, for their technical aspects, for me, if I had like, it would just irk me if I had put in the money to get a Rolex, be it at retail or pre-owned with a premium, and then seeing someone else with it. And then on the same token, with those Omegas, one thing that irritates me about so many limited editions is imagine the person who like said, you know what, I'm gonna pay that extra to get the limited edition Speedmaster, and then there's another limited one next to it. It's like, oh, that's not even the hotness anymore. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But then I think it breaks up the monotony of, like, I think that if I had a choice and there was a Rolex and an Omega, I would probably get the Omega, just like for the same reasons y'all was talking about. Everybody got a Rolex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just breaks up the monotony of just bullshit, and and if somebody don't know what you got on, hey, that's their issue. You know what I'm saying? It ain't mine.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Well, let's. So I'm looking at the dial here. Two things I want to talk about this Omega. So number one, it has a step dial, and number two, it has a Fotina. How do you guys feel about not the step dial? That's super cool, but Fotina. Has it gone too far? Or do we need to stop in
I think it looks
2020?
cool. I think it looks cool. I do think that a lot of companies are really riding that wave, but aesthetically, it looks really cool. I can't blame them for making it a good-looking watch, and it makes sense because they didn't just do Fotina. They did the old Omega logo. They did that dot over 90, like you mentioned. There's a lot of and it doesn't have the crown guard either.
Right.
Like they've done it right. They've done a lot of vintage cues. Yes, I think it's different if they just released a standard Speedmaster Professional and just threw some Fotina on it. Then it's like it's a bit lazy. But this, they did the whole 9 yards to make it look period correct. The bracelet as well. I think the Fotina is nice though. I don't mind it.
Aesthetically, yes, it definitely looks nice, and that bracelet. Oh boy, I'm telling you the truth. Again, it's price. I want one. And then I'm looking at it on a red and white NATO strap. Like, it looks bomb as hell.
Yeah, this thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you guys. This thing, the minute that I saw it, and it just, I was like, this is my grail. Omega Speedmaster's always been my grail, and I don't care which one. I just wanted an Omega Speedmaster. But after I saw this one, I was like, this will be the one to get. If I had it, I would just feel so proud. And if I walked into any watch room with a bunch of watch geeks or whatever, and they saw this, I think this would get more respect than a Daytona. Daytona is cool and everything, but when people see this as a watch collector, I think they'll go nuts. They'll be like, you know what? Kudos to you. You did the right thing. Just staring at that movement. I mean, it all started out with Lamania, right? And now, I don't know. Do you know, Fred, if this is like an in-house 100%? For them, it is, right? I mean, obviously, that's why having the guy. So, yeah, to go from like a Lamania back in the days to now in-house Caliber 321, and like I said, they upped their game with the Sedna Gold. I think it's awesome. And just like you guys, speaking about the Fotina, I'm a fan of it. I've always loved Fotina. Now, would have been cool. It wouldn't make sense, but it would have been cool if they used tritium for the lume. But the problem with tritium is that throughout the years, just like my watch, it just completely fades away. And that's something that they don't want. They want this thing to look the same for 50, 60, 70 plus years. So whatever lume they use on that, they make it look like Fotina, forced Fotina, but it's gonna have the luminescence for many, many, many years.
It's still gonna work.
Right.
Like, I think that's why they do the Fotina, is because, like you said, if you do it the real way, it's tritium that you have to wait
it goes
until
away.
It does that,
right?
But also you lose the luminescence. Whereas
That is true.
It has all the good looks of some faded tritium, but it'll still shine bright at night.
Yeah. Now, how do you guys feel about the size, though? Because a lot of people, obviously, this is 39, so it's a little smaller, versus a professional, which is, 40?
42.
42? Okay. Right. So I prefer this one.
I don't have a problem with the size. I've been downsizing anyway. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But is it me, or I can stare at? I actually made this the picture of the movement, my home screen on my cell phone. I could stare at this movement all day.
It's beautiful.
It is. I mean,
it's no. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just aesthetically looking at it, is no Longa. Like a Longa and Zone. I mean, those movements are just mesmerizing. This thing is awesome, but in its own different kind of way. You know what I mean? So
right.
Well, and especially if you bear in mind the price point.
We're
talking about this being expensive, but you talk about a Lange, that's something that's
it's different. It's a different level.
Figures, You know, so like it's a lot harder to, in my opinion, to get a movement this good looking in this sort of
for the price point
14,000 range. Not impossible. Like there are other models that will have a nice looking movement like this, but this is very nice.
Well,
and like high quality finishing and history.
I would
like,
argue with you, Fred. I will say that the Seagull movement, the Chinese movement, is just as well filmed.
But is that in this price point? I feel like that's dominating the sub $1,000 mark. I don't know how much the Seagull one is, but
yeah, it's like $500 or something like that.
There we go. I mean, they are the kings of $500. I cannot dispute that.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, this is like, beautiful.
They're really in a different league.
No, this is a beautiful movement. Now, by the way, don't take anybody listening. Don't take any offense. I wasn't trying to diminish or belittle the 3-2-1 movement too long. I'm just saying aesthetically, it's a completely different monster. But aesthetically, for the price, this is a gorgeous movement, and this is a grail of mine. So don't get it twisted, because this definitely is super awesome. One thing I would like to see, though, and I don't know why Omega doesn't do this, is increase the water resistance. 50 meters, I mean, it's
50 meters.
It's kind of scary for an everyday watch to wear 50 meters. At least 100. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
It's kind of disappointing
why they don't do it.
It's disappointing, but
and I said this when I talked about the professional. It's like they have other Speedmasters with give or take the same case. In some cases, even thicker. Sorry, in some cases, like the same thickness, that still have 100-meter water resistance. And I feel like if you're gonna do a modern vintage watch, it should at least still have the water resistance of current standards.
Yeah.
Which I think for sports watch is usually accepted as 100 meters. Less than 100 meters, you're talking more dress watch category.
Yeah. So that's definitely a downfall of this watch. So number one, the price. Number two, the water resistance. Yeah. I wonder. Now I'm curious. I wonder. These guys are notorious for their boxes. I wonder what box and what comes in the box for this watch.
That would be interesting.
It'll probably be like giant box, with a commemorative coin and a booklet on the history.
Did you guys see the box for last year's steel one with the 3861 movement? The one they had like a little lunar module thing.
Yes, that was super cool.
That was so cool. That's something I feel like Omega does really well is their boxes. Even on their standard models, like on my Seamaster, I remember I got it and I showed it to my brother, and my brother has a hook. And like for the first time you see him like feeling a bit inadequate about the size of his box. Well, like you have this markup and all that, and they give you this tiny dinky little box.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, doesn't Omega and a lot of the watches include like a loop, right, or something, so you could look at within it's branded and
on the professional, they have
in the lug
on the Speedmaster professional, they've got the strap tool, they've got two straps.
That's cool.
They've got the loop,
the little
paperweight.
The paperweight, right. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Fred, when you open it, confetti comes out of the box when you first open it.
Mm-hmm. No, sorry, that's a misconception. It's actually fireworks.
Oh, that's right.
Confetti is only on the Hesalite.
Oh,
Sapphire Sign, which you get fireworks. That's why you have to pay a bit more for it.
That's what it is.
Speaking of straps, what would y'all prefer this on? The steel, the leather strap, or a NATO?
Steel for me all day.
Oh, that's a tough one, because I do like the way that this steel bracelet looks.
Yeah.
But I feel like with its vintaginess, it would look nice on a leather strap.
Oh, yeah.
Or it would look more period correct, I think.
Right.
What about you, Pete?
I don't know. I think I'll stick with the steel, but I think it'll look great on either one. You know what I mean? I think this watch is so versatile that you can dress it up, dress it down, and and I'm a guy like this. As long as my shoes is cool, what I'm saying, my hair straight, what I'm saying, I put on this watch. I don't care what I got on in between. You know what I mean? Like this thing it's a looker, man. It's a looker.
Yeah.
And you definitely get noticed.
Well, how do you guys feel about this? Because I'm a big Lug Width's a big thing for me. So 19 what's that?
What you say?
Oh, the Lug Width is a big thing for me because 19 millimeters. I mean, why didn't they do 20? I think 19's a little weird. So to find aftermarket straps, they sell them, and you could probably fit like a 20 in there. You could kind of cram it in there, but am I the only one that has a problem with the lug width?
I ain't got a problem with it.
I imagine if you have 14 grand to spend on the watch, you'll be okay with finding
Well,
straps.
okay, well, yeah, you got me there.
If I had 14.1 like right now, I will buy this watch, no doubt.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I had it like that, and I'm getting it.
Well, I can't wait for YouTubers to get their hands on it, like Chris Horology House. I can't wait for him to get this and do some macros on it and talk about it. I want to see the loom on it. It's just incredible. And if I ever have the opportunity to step into an Omega store and they have this, I would love to see it, take a bunch of pictures and just hold it, because I don't know, something about this watch. And I think it's so funny. We all agree this is a looker. This is a watch. Would you say, Fred, this is obviously P said that he would buy it in a heartbeat. Would you? I mean, is this a watch that you would want to buy? Or?
If I'm honest, if I was getting a special Speedmaster, like limited edition and or limited production, at 14.1, I would try and hold out and get myself another 14.1 and hope that the depreciation on the platinum one had hit that limit. Like, cause I love the platinum one with the meteorite dials. And I think if I was going to get something with the 3-2-1 movement, the platinum one looks beautiful. I mean, it's a stupid price, fucking $60,000. Even if that depreciates down to 40, that's still a fair bit of money. But meteorite dials, I mean, sub dials, like, come on, and the 3-2-1. I think I prefer that out of the 3-2-1 movement watches that they're selling right now. I prefer the platinum. Like at 14.1, I would just struggle to pay that for a Speedmaster, like in steel.
Yeah. That's my holdout too. I mean, even if I had the 15 grand right to spend, I was like, all right, let's have $15,000 to spend. Before, I'm gonna be honest with you, before I spend money on a Speedmaster, I would probably look at pre-owns like APs. Or something else in that category where it's like
other Speedmasters. Like I just asked myself, would I be
that's true.
10 grand happier than a standard Speedy Professional?
Yeah, just for the movement. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you gotta really, really love Speedmasters for you to be
really have to be into like that particular movement.
Yes,
that movement.
Yes,
I feel this will definitely be a collector's piece
for sure, 100%.
I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just don't think that like your average collector, someone who's not specifically into speedies, I don't think they will go crazy over this. And that's another reason why I think maybe it won't become the hype beast that everyone thinks, purely because I don't think, like, the Daytona still has that mass market appeal. And that's what sort of fuels that extra demand. It's not a niche.
Okay, well, I mean, then even at like 14.1, you could get like a used Protect for that much, can't you? Or even a new one.
Calatrava definitely for sure for that price.
Yeah, it'll probably have to be a 3-hand or something like a Calatrava, probably vintage.
But nonetheless, I mean, you're getting a Protect.
There's a lot you can do with 14, 15 grand.
Like, for sure.
I mean, within Omega, outside of Omega, going vintage, going new. There's so many options at 14 grand. It's just, I just ask myself, like, would I be 10 grand happier than having a standard Speedmaster Professional? And for me, the answer would probably be no.
Yeah. Well, okay. So can we all
beautiful watch though?
Can we all agree though that this is the step in the right direction for Omega?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think a nice watch with a good movement is never a wrong step. Whether it gives them, whether it's a step in the direction that Omega wants to take it, or a step in the direction that speculators want to take it, that's another story. But you can't go wrong with releasing a good-looking watch like this with a movement that has such history and that's so well made.
Yeah. No, sounds good. So there you have it. I think we pretty much covered I'm sure there's other things we're forgetting, but for the most part, I mean, that's kind of our take on the Omega Speedmaster Caliber 321. So I'm sure we could all agree. We all want to see it in the metal and check it out and kind of see what it's all about. But But yeah, no, sounds good. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if our listeners or not got a chance to look at it. I know Fred did. I don't think P has watched it, but I want to talk about Hodinkee a little bit. I know a lot of people don't like talking about him, but let's be honest. I mean, as a watch collector, you go to Hodinkee for watch stories, or at least you did back in the days. Now they've changed a little bit. And before I even talk about this, I want to, this being the urban channel, this being us being diverse here, I want to start off with a Drake quote that I sent to my boy P.
Oh, yo, God.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, whatever, man. Just
Go ahead. It
has to go with this. All right. Basically, he says in one of his songs, this is an older song, he says, "I like when money makes a difference, but it don't make you different." So,
hold on, wait. Say that again. Say that one more time.
Well, you want me to rap it? You want me to rap it?
Some flair.
I like when money makes a difference, but it don't make you different. That's as good as I can get. Unless you want me to do it like in a mariachi version, you know.
Nah, we good.
Man, what's that to it?
But no, so check it out. So that line, the reason I brought it up is because Hodinkee, I mean, it all started with Ben Clymer, right? And of course, the guy was wealthy enough as it was. I mean, he got a Speedmaster from his uncle. He had money. He built this whole thing, and it was all about watches and vintage watches and bringing that kind of light to the space where we all live, the cyberspace, the internet, whatever. And now I feel like they just kind of deviated from watch collecting, the essence of watch collecting so much, where they put out this new Talking Watches for 2020. Talking Watches is one of my favorite, video kind of episodes or whatever series that they do. And this first one, they had Bethany Frankel. Nothing against the lady. I know she's wealthy, self-made or not self-made, whatever. And she's made some right business decisions in her life and she's filthy rich. But they had her on, right? And my take on it was it was garbage. I'm sorry to say it was garbage. It's like, she's not a watch collector. She's just a rich person that could afford watches. And for the most part... Is she
from England?
She's American, man. She was from
a
Real Housewives of New York. Well, I don't know what the hell. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is she had a lot of heavy hitting pieces on the table. AP, she had a bunch of Rolexes, Cartier. She had different things. Everything on the table was, my ex-boyfriend gave me that. Oh, my boyfriend bought me that. That Daytona. And I'm friends with FP Jordan, and he told me that this AP with these diamonds is really cool. Nothing was about the movement, nothing. And furthermore, slap in the face to all collectors. I was like, what the hell? She's like, so what's Kara or whatever? She asked her, like, what's your least favorite watch on this table, or can we talk about something? She picked up this beautiful Cartier. She's like, you know what? It's this thing right here. I didn't know this thing was manual wind. You have to wind it. Oh God, I don't like it. I don't know how people, like, she was just bashing that, and I'm like,
so she just sound dizzy.
Exactly. Sounds like she had too much of her skinny line alcohol or skinny girl alcohol, or whatever. And it was a little irritating. I mean, yeah, it was refreshing to see a girl, and that's what we like to see in this industry. And furthermore, that we can't really bash that at all. That's, if anything, that's a cool thing. Seeing girls in the space, seeing not just, this is not a sausage fest. We want diversity, but come on, like, you have somebody talking watches just about price and I don't know. Fred, I mean, you saw the video. What's your take on it?
I mean, like, I agree. I think it's good that they showed a video with a woman in it. I mean, I looked through the rest of the playlist to see if this was the first time. It looked like it was the first time they did. Yeah. My only thing is, like, they put someone who, like, just fits so much of the stereotypes of what one thinks of with women buying watches. Like, yes, like you said, she always talked about it was a guy buying it for her, or like not sounding too like knowledgeable on the mechanical side, but there was still some substance. One thing I liked is that she did say that she liked, from some of the watches that weren't given to her, she liked a couple that she liked them because they were different. That's something I can definitely relate to. She did that. AP was pretty fucking cool. It was like diamonds were sort of fading onto it, but I just don't think it gave, as a guy, I don't think it gave me very much insight into the female perspective of buying watches when they're buying them for something other than just being jewelry. Like, the stereotype is that women just buy them as jewelry. I would have liked to see more of an insight into what women look into and value in watches beyond that, when it's beyond just getting it as jewelry. And also, I think for women being into collecting, I would imagine that they probably even looked at it as like, oh wow, this is how you represent us. You know, like
Yeah.
I just don't think it was the best pick of who they could have featured or how they could have presented it. You know, at the end of the day, they do the editing. They pick what they show and what they don't.
Right.
And they showed like 3 or 4 watches that she said like, oh, my boyfriend got me this. It's like, well, that doesn't show much of a story into the thought you put into getting it. So in that sense, I feel like they maybe were trying to be inclusive and diversify a bit, but they kind of missed the mark. You know, I
Yeah.
think they could have, like someone, a female collector who comes to mind that would have been great. Obviously, I imagine it's very difficult to book her. Would be someone like Ellen DeGeneres. You know, she's got a really diverse collection,
Mm-hmm.
everything from vintage to modern, all sorts of really nice pieces. You know, we were talking about on the last episode, talking about that Patek that she was wearing. I feel like someone in that vein would have probably made for a more interesting video from like a watcher's standpoint and understanding a collector's perspective.
Right.
Right. And I think coming from a woman, it would be a lot more deeper. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, you know, like they wouldn't just like hit the regular male points that we hit or see. You know what I'm saying? You probably get a different insight, you know.
exactly. I just feel like they ended up picking either a person or just the way that they edited it. It just ended up hitting, in my view, too many of the stereotypes that exist. That like, oh, the women who buy watches just buy them because they're shiny and covered in diamonds.
Right.
Like, as a guy, it would have been nice to see a bit more of that nuance, see what other stuff factors into it, because I'm pretty sure there is more that factors into it than just putting diamonds on it.
Right.
No, I agree. Well, like I said, again, back to that quote, it's like, I like when money makes a difference, but it don't make you different. And unfortunately for Houdinki, I mean, they got a ton of money now. They're ADs for Omega and a bunch of other things, and it just completely changed. I mean, it's only natural, the progression of that. I get it, but I don't know. Houdinki was one of my favorite websites to go to, and now I feel a little different, you know. So hopefully they turn it back around and they
I
make it.
don't I don't necessarily feel like you know, someone starting out, you know what I'm saying, maybe doing all the right things, but once you get to like a certain level, shit's gonna change because you know your audience change, you know what I'm saying? You may have different people, you know what I'm saying, in on saying like what you should do, which may have been like the case. It may have been one of them things where someone said, oh, we gonna book her. No, don't book her, you know what I'm saying? But it'd be good for views. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a whole lot of shit that's involved in it. And I don't even know how popular she was, like on the Housewives show. She may have been like one of the popular people on there. You
Well,
know what I mean?
she
So
even made it on Shark Tank, so she's definitely diversified her own
right,
persona and her own company and stuff like that. But
right,
it's not just her though that I'm talking about Houdinki. It's also all those collaborations with IWC. You go to their YouTube channel and it's like, okay, great, I'm watching a commercial for IWC. Like,
right,
all right, great. What the hell, you know? What's going on? You know,
right,
it's just crazy. I still listen to their
right.
podcast, and that is very kind of still watch related, but I don't know.
Right.
I just wanted to
So
bring
you
that
feel
up.
like they're getting away from the principles of
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
collecting.
If they're selling out, this is just short and simple. They're selling out, so
Right.
kind of sucks. Kind of sucks, and I hate to see that. Hopefully, they turn it back around. That's why I go to a blog to watch. I mean, that's very much from watch enthusiasts standpoint, you know what I mean, and hopefully they keep it that way, but that's kind of my take on that, you know. So we're approaching the 1 hour mark, guys. Do you guys want to talk about other things, anything you recommend, anything that's happened?
Uh,
I,
well,
I do want to talk about something, and I think Pete might have something to add to it, but I just don't want us to get too far into this. I want to talk about Star Wars.
okay.
This Rise of Skywalker.
Oh
Uh,
shit.
I don't want to make it spoilery in case anyone hasn't seen it yet, but I was a bit disappointed.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think? Did you like it?
Yeah, I think. Okay, okay. From the Last Jedi, right? I know everybody saw that, and it's totally a disappointing movie. I think what happened with the Rise of Skywalker, J.J. Abrams was trying to fix Ryan Johnson's fuck ups in the Last Jedi. You know what I mean? So with what he had to work with, I thought the movie was great, but would have been better if the Last Jedi wasn't as screwed up as it was. You know what I mean? I don't know who didn't see that Ray was Palpatine. Well, spoiler alert.
Oh God.
It's been
Yeah, so much
out.
from you saying,
It's
you know, don't want to spoil it for anyone.
Jeez.
nah. You know what? It's been out for a month. If you ain't seen it yet, you know what I'm saying. You probably ain't gonna go see it.
I haven't seen it. Should I cover my ears and not listen to this podcast?
Well, you know what? You know what? A lot of shit you saw coming. Like if you watch like from the Force Awakens on, but I thought for what J.J. Abrams had to work with, it was great. But then I hear what they're doing now is, you know how Disney did Avengers Endgame? Like a
Yeah.
month later, they released it again and kind of
Oh yeah.
quadrupled the money with extra
Yes.
scenes and all that. Now,
Yes.
supposedly, Disney is doing Rise of Skywalker like that and going to put it back in theaters with extra footage.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? That kind of explains more of the story. You know what I mean? So I thought it was good. It's not like my favorite Skywalker trilogy. Of course, the first 3 movies were probably the best. You know what I'm saying? But for what it was worth, I thought J.J. Abrams, he gave a valiant effort, and it was okay. It was okay.
I get what you're saying with you know, yeah, he had a lot that he had to sort of unfuck up, or like he wasn't in the best. He didn't have a lot of creative freedom because certain things had been taken away from him.
Right.
But in the same sense, to a degree, I almost wish they had waited, released it maybe a year later or something to take the time to really flesh out a lot of those fuck ups and how they were going to fix them. I feel like this was just like, you know, I feel like, especially looking at what's it called, Force Awakens, which was already a bit of a nostalgia trip. It felt like, you know, break the glass on the original trilogies if in doubt. You know, I felt like it was, oh shit, bring out Palpatine, quick. You know, bring someone from the original trilogy. This is how we're gonna fix it. Even though I didn't agree with a lot of the choices that like Rian Johnson did, I wish J.J. Abrams had kept making new shit. One thing you can't knock for Rian Johnson is like he didn't just delve into the past with it. The entire theme of that movie was kill the past. You know, create something new.
Yeah.
In that sense, at least it was cohesive. He stayed true to that theme. He really fucked up the past.
Right.
But
yeah, for sure.
I wish J.J. Abrams had taken that opportunity to make new stuff. You know, like this was so predictable. Oh,
yeah,
what a
for
surprise!
Sure.
Just like, you know, in Return of the Jedi, the Darth Vader-ish character with the mask turns to the light side and he's all good.
Right.
You know, like I just in watching that movie, I just didn't see a single surprise.
Nah, there ain't really been nothing in the Star Wars movies that's been a real surprise besides the fact of the most becoming thing to me and surprising thing to me in the Star Wars film was Empire Strikes Back when Darth Vader revealed that he was Luke's father. Like, it ain't nothing that can fuck with that.
Of course.
It ain't nothing that can fuck with that.
I think one big difference between like, you know, this sequel trilogy versus like the prequels is like the prequels, yeah, it's hard to make a surprise when everyone knows he's going to turn into Darth Vader.
Right.
But with the sequels, you don't have that limitation. You know, it's open-ended. Right. They could come up with anything new. And I just feel they didn't put a lot of effort into doing something new. They just decided to mirror the original trilogy and call it a day.
And you know what? The Rise of Skywalker actually had a lot of tear-jerking moments. I think I almost cried in one. Like when I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this one because
I think we already put the biggest one out there.
When Han Solo came back and was talking to Ben Solo, like that was like a real live tearjerker. And that then you know, and I'm just kind of like, wow, like that was like great. Like I thought that like in the Force Awakens, it kind of mirrored what Luke saw happen to Ben Kenobi. Yeah, you know what I'm saying when
he came to Dagobah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, I'm getting heavy hearted now with the shit in Rise of Skywalker. Like, there was some great moments. They could have told the story better. But what's messed up now is a lot of stuff that was canon in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. Like the Rise of Skywalker has totally changed it and it's not canon no more. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the only thing that's messed up now.
Yeah, and also I feel it really kind of devalues, you know, like the end of Return of the Jedi. It's like, fuck, you know, Vader died, redeemed himself to kill the Emperor, and it's like, he didn't quite finish the job.
did it really though? See, that's a discussion I was having with somebody at work. Like, did it diminish Anakin's purpose and what he was meant to do? You know what I'm saying? Was Anakin bringing balance to the Force supposed to be like a lifelong thing?
The funny thing is though, I don't think Anakin brought balance to the Force at the end of Return of the Jedi. In my view, he brought balance to the Force at Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Because they're literally, he brought it down from being an army of Jedi and 2 Sith to just 2 Jedi and 2 Sith.
And that's why the Sith was so powerful, because it was so many Jedi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they had to be, the Jedi Order had to be purged. You know what I mean? In order to bring balance.
But I feel like that's where he actually brought balance.
Right.
Balance is for sure. I can equal on both sides.
Right. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it was just the Jedi being too optimistic.
Right.
I was going to say this.
Or too egotistical, thinking that like the prophecy was all about them.
Right. And they arrogant as fuck. Yeah. Like, I was watching the Clone Wars the other day, the first episode where Yoda had finally made it to where he had to go, and he saw Ventress, right?
Yeah.
So he looked at her and said, "Powerful you are with the dark side, but not that powerful." And then he like took her lightsabers from her hand and threw them back at her. I'm like, you arrogant little fuck.
Now Yoda does have some fun badass moments.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And with all the flipping around that he does. Like, I love that at the end of episode 2. That fight between him and
Count Dooku. Yeah, that was hot.
That was badass.
That was hot.
So we officially have turned into the Star Wars podcast. Thank you, everybody. This is episode 1 of the Star Wars saga. What the heck?
I was resistant to say it, but then I was like, oh, well, that's the other stuff I have. I had to get it off my chest. I know Pete could contribute.
Yeah. Well, I just woke up from my nap because Star Wars to me is so boring. Like hearing you guys talk.
It is not. It is the story of downfall and redemption.
God, well,
just what I mean?
Just look at our country. Well, okay.
There's no redemption coming for this shit.
Yeah. So, is there anything you want to talk about, P? Or
no, I'm good. I don't know what I was about. Oh no. I've started back gaming, man. Last year.
Oh, cool.
The past couple of years have been so rough for me. Like when my brother died and. Yeah. Like I've been having all kind of. Then my uncle died. Then I had an aunt that died this year. Like it's been like real. Well, not this year. Last year. I'm sorry. And I finally got back in the game, and I had a stack of games that I had been buying over the years and shit. So I started Spider-Man PS4.
Okay.
And it's awesome. Awesome game.
Well, I'm not a gamer, so I don't know anything about gaming either. You, Fred? You're not a gamer as well?
No, but I used to be, and I remember those Spider-Man games were so much fun, especially like the open world ones. Like I remember last Spider-Man game I played was the Spider-Man 2 one, which was one of the first ones to be proper open world. And fuck, it's so cool. Like when you can just like swing around the whole city, you have that full freedom, and it's like GTA with Spider-Man.
Right, that's how this one is now. This latest one, that's how it is now. Open world, you can go where you want to go.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's well, cool. I'm not a gamer. Never been a gamer. Which is so weird. I'm so into watching. You would think I'll be into other nerdy stuff, and I'm really not. But one thing I want to talk about is there was a Netflix special or kind of docu-series. I know there's more coming. And it was that Kevin Hart, Don't F This Up. It was really good.
I watched the first episode. I watched the whole
thing. So I watched the first series. And it was pretty cool because, I mean, the funny thing about all these artists or famous people, you just see them in the limelight and you're like, oh, cool, well, they got lucky. But you see the grind behind everything they do and the team they have behind it and all the controversies he had to go through with cheating on his wife and the whole thing with the Oscars. Like, he talks about that in that episode. And he has my respect. So I'm like, dang, that guy's a hustler. Like, how the hell does he balance life between family and work and traveling and Jumanji, right? He has to go around the world, and it was pretty crazy. And he's a funny guy when he does things, but on this one, you could just see the real him. Like, he's a little funny, but for the most part, he's just really talking, like, hey, this is my struggles. This is what I'm going through. They show his wife, his kids, his dad. So it's pretty cool. And
I think that's what he needed, though. You know what I'm saying? He needed to show a different side of himself.
Of course. Of course, and I think he did. Whether it's real or not, obviously we don't know. But it was cool to see that kind of light and see where he's going, and him bringing up other comedians with him and how much success he's had. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. And then one song that I've been hearing a lot, and I don't know how you feel about it, P or Fred, featuring Drake, "Life Is Good." Pretty interesting. I mean, not great as far as lyrics. It's not like one of those rap songs that is going to stick, but it's fun, to listen to it.
Right.
If you're a rap person, featuring Drake, "Life Is Good," and life is good for us over here at the SoCal Watch Reviews podcast. So,
oh yeah.
So far,
I think the Kevin Hart shit, like, I think a lot of people take for granted, like, you know what I'm saying, because you're doing something like just because you're doing it because you like it. Like, for instance, like, we're into watches, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people may take for granted, like, it's easy to put up a YouTube video. It's easy to, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's actual work.
Right.
Especially when you got other work to do. You know what I mean? Like, we all have full-time jobs, own businesses, and do this and do that. You know what I mean? With doing watches on top. And then, like, for me personally, like, I do a Prince YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? I kind of fell slack on the gaming channel, but I'm going to get back into that this year. And I do a watch channel. So, plus I work. I have family, wife, kid. You know what I mean? So, it's a lot of work balancing out everything, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people take that shit for granted.
Yeah, they do. Oh, they do. So that's it. I mean, where can they find you, Fred?
Y'all can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, MySpace. Okay, now I'm just writing
MySpace
networks. Okay, but the first one's Shaluso on everything, SHAHLUSSO. If you like seeing watch pictures, watch videos, watch infographics, all that fun stuff, make sure you follow, subscribe, etc., etc., etc.
All right, P.
Ross Wristwatch Love everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
All right,
that's it.
And what about the Facebook, right? So we
oh yeah, the SoCal Watch Review podcast on Facebook. Go over there, check it out. It's in the infancy stages again, but we're going to get it there. We're going to get it on and popping.
Yeah,
you understand?
Sure.
What sort of stuff we're going to be seeing on the Facebook page?
Oh, man. A lot of cursing, a lot of foolery, you know what I'm saying? We're going to put up a couple fake IWC watches, the fake Rolexes.
I like that video that you did about fake IWC.
That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
That was really good.
That was some shit. But
that's fun. But yeah, no, go support our YouTube channels. Go support us on Facebook.
And where can they find you at,
Miguel? Yeah, absolutely. SoCal Watch Reviews on YouTube, on Instagram, and obviously this podcast. So if you get a chance to put a review on this podcast, please go ahead, support us. Any comment helps. Anything and everything helps. So we do appreciate it. And thank you for listening. We have a lot of fun doing this. So hopefully don't take it too serious. It's just our opinions. And yeah, thanks for listening. Guys, thank you so much.
Stay humble.
Absolutely. Stay humble, my friends. Thank you. All right. Later.